Drive is a 2011 film that is probably one of the most confusing movies to be made that year. And no, the reason why Drive is so confusing is not because of the movie itself. Instead, it has a lot more to do with the marketing of the movie. The movie was marketed as your regular action movie with gun battles and car chases. Just watching the trailer of the movie would leave you with the impression that this is a Fast and the Furious kind of movie, but with just one driver. However, it's not. Drive is something else, something deeper. It's little wonder why many moviegoers believed that this movie was extraordinarily boring. And who can blame them? If you're used to car chases and gun battles after every other scene, a movie that doesn't do that would sound boring. But who cares about what other people think about this movie? We don't even care about the movie itself. We care about the character in the movie, who simply is referred to as the driver. The driver is played by Ryan Gosling, and is a near-perfect example of a Sigma male. Now, we use near-perfect here because he isn't always perfect. Sometimes he makes mistakes. Sometimes he says too much, and does too much, and cares too much. But by the end of the movie, we see him for what he truly is. A complete and utter Sigma male who doesn't care about what other people think of him, and only does what he wants. In Drive, Ryan Gosling is an unnamed driver who worked as a mechanic and stunt driver by day, but by night doubles as a driver for a criminal for hire agency in Los Angeles, California. All his jobs are managed by Shannon, a beta who hopes to be an alpha, and he soon runs into two mobsters named Bernie and Nino. He also has a thing for his neighbor, Irene, who has a kid named Benicio. Sadly, in the middle of the movie, Irene's husband gets home from prison, and suddenly the driver, as he has no other name, has to move on from their lives. This breaks him, and in a weird way awakens the Sigma in him. The first time we see him being a Sigma male and acting outside the dictates of societal convention was after he met Irene's husband, Standard, who was taking out the trash. Afterward, he goes to a bar to let off some steam when someone he'd worked for before approached him. The person offered him a job, and the driver gave him the most Sigma reply anyone could ever give. He told him to shut his mouth, or he would kick his teeth down his throat and complete the job. The ruffian, understanding the very real look of danger from the driver, decided to do just as he was told. Sigma males are extra self-assured. They do not bargain or compromise. They say what they want and what they would do if they do not get what they want, and they say it in the most convincing way. That's exactly what the driver did here. He asserted his dominance not by fanciful posturing or a huge ceremony like alpha males do, but by quietly stating his intentions as straightforwardly as he could, and it worked exactly the way he wanted. In this scene, the driver is trying to help a crooked gangster rob a pawn shop. He isn't doing this for the money, as Sigma males hardly do things for money. Instead, he's doing it to keep Irene and her kid safe. While this isn't something Sigma males would ordinarily do, it's important to look at the driver's actions in this scene. They are telling of his development into being an absolute Sigma male. The scene starts with the driver listing out his rules, and they're fair rules. They protect him and they protect his employer. He tells them that he will drive them to where they need to go, and will wait for 5 minutes. No matter what happens, he will be there for 5 minutes, but he also tells them he cannot guarantee anything outside of those 5 minutes. After explaining his terms, he drives Standard, the person who's to rob the pawn shop, to the store. When Standard gets there, he seems a little tense, but the driver is intense. This is just business to him, and it's not just business to Standard. He is scared. It appears that his fear is justified, as he's shot 4 times by the owner of the pawn shop when he's leaving said shop. It isn't just the shooting of Standard that makes this scene an interesting breakdown, it's how it happens. Like your classic alpha, Standard is walking out of the store without a care in the world. He doesn't look back to see if someone's following him. He's self-assured, yes, but in a manner that gets him killed. No true Sigma would ever behave in that manner. Once the driver sees the situation is unsalvageable, he immediately takes to his heels. Like a true Sigma, he's quickly evaluated the situation and made the optimum decision for both lives in his vehicle. And like a true Sigma male, he's avoided death. When the driver gets to the motel, he immediately realized that he's been tricked. He realizes that the woman he just saved, Blanche, was working with some men who chased them. As he's pondering what this means to him, he immediately realizes that the motel is surrounded, and he uses his quick reflexes to save himself from death. Sadly, that wasn't possible for Blanche, as her brains were blown out. The driver did get revenge for her, even if it was because his entire life hung in the balance. After killing her attacker, the driver didn't sit and revel in his victory like some alphas would do. He didn't walk leisurely outside his apartment just like Standard did before his death. Instead, he watched his back and killed the men gunning for him. Just like a Sigma male would do, Sigma males don't do victory laps. They're always watchful because they know that things can go sideways at any time. That's why they're a lot more cautious than alpha males. The elevator scene is quite possibly the most pivotal in The Drive. It's the scene that shows the complete descent of the driver into a cult of psychotic killing, but is also the one that shows him develop into the most perfect Sigma male. In the scene, he realizes that he will never win the girl, try as he might. He realizes that he will never be what's good for her, regardless of all his good intentions. And in that realization, he decides that he would abandon any dream he might have being with Irene by showing her exactly what he was. He kissed her for the last time, which signifies him coming to terms with what he was, and then proceeds to brutally murder an assassin sent to kill him. After the murder, he doesn't even try to explain himself. She knew what happened, and any more words would be a waste. It's the perfect Sigma male moment. In the final act of the movie, we see the last face-off, and this time it's between Bernie and the driver. We know that Bernie wants to kill the driver, and we suppose that the driver knows that as well. That's what makes this scene so amazing. It's a dangerous situation, and yet the driver walks into it with no trace of fear, just like a Sigma male would. At the meeting, Bernie tells him that dropping off the money stolen from the pawn shop would guarantee the safety of Irene, his love interest. However, Bernie also says that he will never stop pursuing the driver, so he's going to have to deal with this whole thing his whole life. Throughout all of this, the driver shows no emotion, no fear, no hope, nothing, just like a Sigma male would. It's as if he has his version of how things would turn out, and couldn't care about announcing it to Bernie. As it turns out, his version is the right one, and he ends up killing Bernie after the man stabbed him. An alpha male in this situation would ordinarily posture and show Bernie how weak he is, but the driver doesn't look like he cares what Bernie thinks. And when they go to retrieve the money, Bernie, as expected, stabs the driver, and the driver stabs and kills him in return. And that's where the driver shows his complete ascent into Sigmahood. Once he's killed Bernie and guaranteed his safety, he decides to leave the man and the money on the street and just drives away, just like any Sigma male would. At the end of the movie, we see Irene, the driver's love interest, knock on his apartment door. There's no answer. If you enjoyed this scene breakdown, don't forget to smash the like button and hit that subscribe button as well. And remember to stay safe.